I mean, you've had a busy week. My goodness, you were speaking at a few different conferences, all out in San Francisco, both at the Jefferies Cybersecurity Summit as well as Barclays Global Technology Conference out there. Ultimately, net, you think about the global cybersecurity landscape right now and where more jobs, more roles are still needed to be filled to meet the expectations that many of your customers have. What type of kind of delta are we going to need to see in this near term?
Well, great to be here. And it really is a problem in cybersecurity when you think about the job deficit. So many skilled security practitioners are needed, and there's over 3 million open security jobs. So when you think about security and you think about the adversary and how fast they move, it's incumbent on companies like Crowdstrike to be able to arm the people in the field to be able to create that multiplier effect, to be able to actually plug some of these holes. And it's been something that's obviously we've been focusing on extensively, helping our customers. But in terms of the jobs, it's a great field to be in, and B, more people are needed.
More people are needed, particularly when you've got a company that's doing as well as yours. I'm looking at the stock here. Year-to-date returns up 129%. Not a bad year. And when I compare you to some of the competitors across the street, you guys are way outpacing some other cybersecurity names here. But I do want to talk a little bit about those competitors. Zeroing in on Microsoft, how much do you see them as a competitor? Is that sort of a myth on the street, or is that the reality?
Well, Microsoft's certainly a competitor, but when you think about what we're focused on as a company, it's stopping breaches. I mean, that's why I started the company. And the technology that we use is AI native. This is not something that's new to us. We didn't just get into this game. Literally started the company using AI and machine learning at the time to be able to identify and stop these attacks that have never been seen before, and really create the first security platform born in the cloud. It's much differentiated from Microsoft's technology. And in fact, what we hear from customers from a Microsoft perspective, again, using legacy signature-based technology to be able to identify threats is just not going to cut it. So AI is the way forward. And what we hear from customers is their level of transparency just in the pricing alone is causing a lot of consternation. And normally they're getting a big bill and not necessarily getting the outcome that they receive. But again, we've done well because of the platform we've built. It's been embraced by customers. It is, by all accounts, the best in the industry by industry analysts in terms of technology. And we feel really good about where we are today.
What type of propensity to spend further into cybersecurity solutions are you seeing from customers right now?
Well, when you look at things like the SEC breach disclosure, as an example, companies have to be able to identify any incidents. And if it's material, they have to be able to report those within a 4-day period. That starts December 15th. So customers, I think they've got a variety of incentives in front of them. One is SEC, if they're a publicly traded company. Two, probably even the bigger one, is we've seen all the attacks out. You guys have reported on them. These are very determined adversaries in the environment. They move very quickly, whether it's cybercrime or whether it's even nation state actors. And the cost is just too high when you look at even just ransoms. We see ransoms going for starting price of $50 million for a ransom payment. Those can be negotiated down. But at the end of the day, big companies are spending over $100 million if they have a cyber breach. So it's important for them to get ahead of that with companies like CrowdStrike to be able to identify and prevent these breaches before they happen.
You mentioned the SEC requirements to disclose any breaches if you're a public company. I'm curious if that news impacted the length of the contracts that you're seeing. We've seen people kind of paring down the timing of their contracts with cybersecurity companies because of macro pressures. Have you seen any change in that after that news from the SEC?
We haven't seen any change in that. And, again, from our perspective, and we've been very transparent since we started the company, we focus on ARR. That is the key metric for CrowdStrike. And the beauty is we provide that. Many other companies don't. And they have other metrics that they focus on. And when you look at our ARR, it was a record, $223 million. If you look at our growth, over 30% at $3 billion, we're the first security company to hit $3 billion in ARR. And when you look at our performance, I really call it the triple threat. You've got over 30% growth on the top line, over $3 billion, that's at scale. The second piece of that is 30% free cash flow. And the third element is over 20% non-GAAP operating income. We are in rarefied air when you look at those metrics.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm looking at a lot of the metrics that you just mentioned here as they were reported in your most recent quarter here. When you think most notably going forward about where margins, on top of all of the different services that you already offer, where you're expecting that to continue to trend, what is going to be the catalyst for even more margin growth for the company?
Well, as you continue to scale, as we continue to scale, we become even more efficient. We've done a lot within our own tech stack, obviously, to be able to drive efficiencies. In September at our Falcon conference, our CFO, Bert Podbear, actually moved up our long-term gross margin target operating percentage. So from our standpoint, it's being more efficient, but using things like AI. We use AI throughout the company. That's in our DNA. That's obviously in our technology with things like Charlotte AI and customers are embracing. It's also within the company itself and how we deliver services and how we make things more efficient for our own people. And I think leveraging those sort of technologies internally as well as providing those to our customers is going to help continue to drive gross margin improvement, which really then falls to the bottom line. And you see that in our cash flow generation, which again at 30% at our scale is quite remarkable. So we always want to get better and we always want to be more efficient. And every day we think about margin and cash, and those are the big drivers for us.
Well, George, one potential driver of efficiencies, very much so, would be artificial general intelligence, the idea of machine learning that makes itself smarter and can accomplish quite a lot of human tasks. Elon Musk recently said that he sees AGI coming in as close as 3 years. What is your take on the timeline to AGI, and how does that impact how you're thinking about leading the company?
You know, it's a great question when we think about AI and just how much has happened in a short period of time. There was obviously a lot going on behind the scenes before ChatGPT went mainstream, right? Which was a bit of a revelation for many folks. We've had a data science team really since I started the company for over a decade now, as many other companies have had. And when we think about the advancement, just how quickly they're moving forward. Certainly a 3-year timeline, I think is in play. But I think what's important for us and for others is to be able to leverage that technology, as I said earlier, not only drive efficiencies within our companies, but to get greater efficiencies from a customer perspective. They're looking for efficiencies. They're looking for cost savings. And one of the things that we really focus on is Charlotte AI, which is really then creating this virtual security analyst. So trying to fill some of the gaps that we talked about earlier. How do you actually create a virtual analyst that has the collective knowledge of CrowdStrike, but then also can do work on behalf of the company? And that's really where we think there's a lot of opportunities, and we continue to help pioneer a lot of the science in this particular space.